In this section, we will review the steps required to perform a Kickstart installation. We will look at a couple of the steps in more detail, so let's get started. 3 steps must be taken to perform a Kickstart installation. 1. Create a Kickstart configuration file. 2. Publish the file to the installer. And 3. Boot Anaconda and point it to the file. The first step is to create a Kickstart configuration file. You can either create one from scratch or use the Anaconda ks.cfg file from an existing system as a starting point. There are software tools available that allow you to create and edit Kickstart configuration files. One tool, System Config Kickstart, is covered in another video in this course. Since Kickstart configuration files are text files, text editors can also be used. The next step is to publish the Kickstart configuration file you just created to Anaconda. This can be done on the local media when installing a system using an installation DVD. When performing a network-based install, the file can be published using HTTP, FTP, or NFS. Let's see what is involved with publishing the file via a web server. I have already created a file called kickstart.cfg that needs to be published. The file is customized so it can be easily recognized. To publish the file on the web server running on my system, I have to use sudo to copy it to the document root of Apache. It is a good idea to make sure that it can be accessed using a web browser. Curl is a simple utility that can be used for testing. And so I see that my file is successfully published. The last step to perform a Kickstart installation is to boot Anaconda and point it to the Kickstart file. When booting a virtual machine in the classroom environment, use the F12 function key to interrupt the boot process. Be sure to hit F12 quickly, otherwise you'll miss it and it will boot from the hard drive. The virtual BIOS will present a menu of devices to choose to boot from. I will choose IPXE to perform a PXE boot that will load a network bootloader. Once the bootloader is running, use the arrow keys to select Install Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7 from the menu. Do not hit Enter. At this point, type the Tab key. It will display the Anaconda kernel parameters. Here is where you point Anaconda to the Kickstart configuration file. You do that with ks equal, and then you type the URL that points to the location of your file. Make sure that you double check and look for typographical errors. If you mistype the URL, the installer will fail and you can start over and try it again. Note that it takes a few minutes for the RHEL 7 installer to begin the installation. In this section, we reviewed the steps required to perform a Kickstart installation. Special attention was paid to the steps required to publish the Kickstart configuration file and how to launch Anaconda and point it to the Kickstart configuration file.